This is the Girls of High Value channel. My name is Joseph Darling. Today we're talking about beauty, we're talking about femininity and masculinity in women, and we're talking about the big picture, the long run, in order for us as a society to establish happiness and joy for everyone, right? That's the goal. And we've got to move forward together in that direction. And we have to take one step at a time, and we have to realize some key aspects to to genders. Okay, we got to understand some key aspects about men and women so that we can move together. If we only understand ourselves, it's not going to work. We got to understand the other gender as well. And if we only understand the other gender, we've got to understand ourselves. So let's keep it simple. Men and women are different, very different, and we are created so that we can be together. There's a reason why men and women are opposites. Okay, we're literally opposites. It's called the opposite gender for a reason. And when it comes to attraction, because in order for us to create a new generation, to create kids, and to evolve society and humankind forward, there needs to be reproduction in place. Reproduction is an important aspect of humankind. Without it, there is no humankind. In order for us to keep the population from extinction, there needs to be 2.1 children born to every woman. And if that becomes a because over time people die. And if there's not 2.1 children to replace the population, then eventually humankind will become extinct. Obviously, that's never going to happen because over time we figure out what works and that which does not work. Over time, us as humankind, we're designed to find the truth. We're designed to figure it out. We're designed for us to not go into extinction because we are children of God, and God has put in the necessary desire for truth in us, the delight that we all have, in order for us to eventually get there. We will eventually align ourselves with the truth, and the cool part about the truth is that it's it literally will all be unified. Okay, everyone will know what the truth is and will be able to share it from the rooftops, and people will understand because information, because experience, because of seeing it happen in their life, right? Arthur Schopenhauer, I think that's what his name is, he put out a quote. He said at one point, truth goes through three stages. First, it is ridiculed. Secondly, it is violently opposed. And thirdly, it is esteemed as self-evident. That's a really cool quote when it comes to the truth, because that's where we'll end up. Eventually, we're going to get there. So, when we're talking about reproduction, how important it is, in order for there to be reproduction, there needs to be attraction, right? Just like you don't want to have sex and reproduce with someone that you are not attracted to at all, men operate the exact same way. If we're not attracted to each other, we'll never be brought together in order for us to reproduce and create children. So, quickly, my definition for truth is that which works in the long run and in the big scheme of things. That which works. And leadership works, right? And having someone follow you voluntarily because you've persuaded them and created a win-win situation, that's what works. And when it comes to attraction and bringing a couple together, a man and a woman together in order to create a child, that's the thing that makes it work is attraction. So attraction is a critical aspect of truth. So what is it that women are attracted to? Let's take that one first. Women are attracted to power. And when I say power, I'm saying basically a man that is able to do. Someone who is able to provide the things that she needs, both protection and resources for her to survive, but also for her to thrive and move towards the truth herself. She's going to be attracted to someone who's going to help her to feel joy and happiness in her life. And if that man provides the things that are needed for that, she's going to be attracted to it. She's going to be happy about it. She's going to feel satisfaction from being in his presence and having sexual relations with him. Now, she might not understand the long term of what happens with the guy that she's attracted to, because very often she might be attracted to the now circumstance. She's attracted to what's happening in the now. If he can provide right now, that's what she's interested in. If he can protect right now, that's what she's interested in. She doesn't really care about how it's going to be in the long term, because women's brains don't work that way. They're focused on the now. And so her attraction is based on those things. Now we understand the woman and what she's attracted to. You're understanding yourself. Okay, and then we need to look at what is it that men find attractive, because it's the opposite of what women find attractive. Opposites, right? It's not the same thing. Men are not attracted to, it's not attractive when a woman is highly masculine and very goal-oriented and focused on her career and wants to succeed and wants this and that and the other in the marketplace. Men are attracted to femininity. Men are attracted to beauty. Men are attracted to fertility. Men are attracted to girls and women that are healthy, because that's going to create the best possible child, the best possible outcome. This is how evolution works. Men are attracted to someone who is able to have kids and who's able to nurture kids and nurture him. And if she doesn't provide that, if she doesn't bring that to the table, then he's gonna look elsewhere. So if we know this, let's look at what is it that makes women masculine. And before I go into this, first of all, it is critical for you to understand as a woman the last video that I put on this channel, which was completely all about blame and blaming someone else, and that I actually recommend women to blame men for not providing and for not protecting them. And not men as in general, but in terms of the men in their lives. Okay, so their father and their lovers in the future. Okay, or lover, because it's supposed to be singular, right? So the reason why it is critical that you do blame. Okay, what? How does that work? Like, aren't we supposed to take responsibility for our own lives? Am I not supposed to take responsibility for my own financials and for my own life, my own happiness and my own orgasm? Is that not my responsibility? That's what you're thinking as a woman. But it's not. The thing is that once you take responsibility over yourself in every aspect of life, like, of course, I mentioned this in the video, you should take responsibility for the things that you will automatically take responsibility for if you didn't have any cares or problems in life at all. If all of the financials were taken care of and you could focus on your relationships and your health, that's all you would be focusing on. And that's what we want to bring back. The thing is that when you take financial responsibility over your own life, your relationships and your health are going to suffer. And that's what I mean when I say that you should blame the men in your life for not providing and protecting you. Because it is our job. It's our duty. And when you blame, you actually end up staying the same, which is a good thing. We want you to remain in your femininity, and you were the most feminine when you were in your youth, when you had no cares, when you had no problems, when you had no issues at all, when you were completely unburdened and were able to giggle, laugh, and be with your friends all day long. That's what we want out of women. And the faster we understand that as a society, the faster things will be able to be brought towards joy and happiness, and creating a foundation for women and children to be joyous and happy. So we as men have to take that responsibility. When we take that responsibility on ourselves, we as men become more masculine, which is basically the synonym for power. The more masculine a man is, the more power he has. And that's why women are attracted to masculinity. And the more feminine a woman is, the more we're attracted to her, because we know that she's not in survival mode. Okay? I'm saying this at the same time as I'm saying it's not your fault that you're masculine. But women are more and more and more becoming masculine because of feminism. Feminism has brought in this lie that women need to provide for their own selves. Women need to be independent. Women need to fight and struggle and compete in the workplace against men. Very bad idea. I'm grateful for feminism for many of the things that it has brought, but to put women to compete against men in the marketplace will automatically make women more masculine. But the problem with women becoming more masculine and actually seeking after that type of lifestyle is that men don't have to do as much. You see, men don't care that much. We're very indifferent. We're opposite to women. Women care automatically because that's inherent in them, because God has designed them to care about their own survival and to care about their kids and care about their future. Men don't care as much unless they have a reason to care. And the only reason to care that men have is women. And basically the truth. If men don't understand what the truth is, and basically life just happens to them, and they don't really care about women anymore, and I'm going to get back to why we would not care about women anymore, then men are not going to want to grow up. They're simply going to stay children. But they're going to be adult children that are going to create the same problems that kids create, but in a much bigger fashion, with violence, with war, with force, with rape, with all of those things that men, the issues that men create when they're not emotionally fulfilled. And those problems happen in childhood, both for men and women. And it's basically from the past, right? We've evolved as a species to come to this point in time. So the more poverty and the more problems, the more issues, the more wars, the more pestilence, the more financial crises, the worse it gets in terms of masculinity, women being masculine and men being, men will be masculine in war times, right? Which will make women attracted to them, but the more burdened a woman is, the more she's going to be in her masculinity. But there's going to be an opposite thing. If there's war, if there's pestilence, okay, and squandering of wealth, then men are going to step up to the plate simply because they want to save women and they want to protect what they have. And they want, do you understand what I mean? But if there's and that's when women will be feminine. It's kind of weird how this works, but in very bad times, women look to men for protection and provision. In very good times, women look to themselves as their provision and protection, because they have a government, they have a state that's protecting them, and they basically have enjoyed too much time being feminine. Enjoyed, okay, this is during the war times, all of these crazy things happening, and then once the war is solved and everything is fixed, that's when women basically now worship their men because they saved them from the war. They saved them and helped them and protected their children and protected them. So they loved their man for it. They'll always remember that they were there during the war times. So during that time of peace, there's a period of time when women are actually feminine and submissive and happy because the war is done and they've created now a wonderful time, a wonderful family, normally, until society is built up in a way that there's riches again. And that's when women believe that it's always going to remain in a peaceful, prosperous society. But that's not the case. Every single time women take on too much responsibility and go out into the workforce and don't feel that they need men at all, we get to the point of exponential increase there when men begin to become gay because they can. That's what happens in prosperous times. That's what happened with the Roman Empire, and to be honest with you, that's what's happening today. We've come at the end of the cycle of a new world order. Every 50 to 70 years there's basically a big problems, big issues happening because of a prosperous society. And that prosperous society is going to decline when there's a merging of your gender features, meaning women are becoming more and more masculine because they're striving to because they're basically having a lot of sex outside of wedlock. That's what makes them masculine. That's what makes them burdened, and not having the protection of men and protection of fathers. Because fathers have become rich, and when they're rich, they're lazy and they don't really care as much, and they do whatever they want to do, and they drink, blah, 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 blah. These are the problems of society, the cycles that the world goes into over and over and over again. If you understand history, if you understand the past, present, and the future. What am I going on about? I'm basically saying that when women are feminine, society works. When women become masculine, society exponentially declines. We can't have that. Women need to remain feminine and beautiful for their sake. Okay? But it's not their fault. It is men that are not protecting and providing. And the only way to get out of that cycle that happens again and again and again, we have to get out of monogamy, because it's monogamy that creates that cycle. And when I say monogamy, I'm talking about one man, one woman. Because what happens when that happens, there is tons of women available because men very often don't manage to be attractive enough to get the women. And when that happens, then basically there are some men in society, like a lot of men get married, but they get divorced. And then they half of the people who remain married are emotionally unfulfilled. And so you get this, only a few men in society are happy with their circumstance, and only a few men are having basically sex with most of the women. And it's problematic. We're designed for polygyny, the way we operate. And that's where we'll eventually, that's the truth. That's how we move towards the truth, is if we align ourselves with that inherent truth of humankind, to say it like that. Anyway, the point is, when a woman becomes masculine, this is what happens. She ends up operating in survival mode. Her hormonal balance is designed in such a way for growth. We want women to grow. And growth, when it comes to women, is that she's happy, she's excited, she's bubbly. Basically, during her youth is when this happens. This happens if she's provided for by a father. If she doesn't have to worry about anything, if there are no issues and problems in her vicinity, she's not going to worry about anything. She's going to be in the now. She's going to be in her feminine state. But the moment she now has to think about her own progression, her own financials, her own protection and progression, because she's not going to have anyone taking care of her, she's not going to have any man to watch over her, protect and provide, she will automatically go into survival mode. She might get a job, but it gets like life gets hard. And life was not designed to be hard. For men, it's actually not that hard. Believe it or not, men are able, how can I say this? Like, it's problematic for women to be in their survival mode continuously. And the more masculine they become, the less attractive they become to men. And the more masculine they are, the more they have to survive without men in their lives, and that makes them even more masculine. So what happens? The hormonal imbalance starts kicking into place. And because the hormonal balance starts happening, she will become older faster. She will begin to get addictions into her life, meaning alcohol, drugs, casual sexual relationships will happen a lot more often. She'll be on medication a lot more. She's like, everything drives her to becoming more and more masculine and burdened over time. People do this voluntarily sometimes by having children. Children will also burden you and make you more masculine if you have to take care of them all on your own. It will make you older faster. But fortunately, if you have a positive relationship with a man in monogamy, in that type of vicinity, then he'll at least provide and protect for you somewhat. But if he's giving you many children, that's not protecting you. That's not protecting your emotions and your sanity. So it's going to be difficult for you to remain continuously happy all of the time because you are continuously becoming more and more masculine. This is why women automatically blame the man for everything in marriage, because it is his fault. He's the one who provided her with the kids. Right? So we got to understand how the woman functions. And the woman was designed to be continuously in growth mode. And growth mode happens from her not being rejected, from her being protected and provided for continuously. If she does not do this, if she grows up masculine in her childhood, in her teenage years, and throughout her entire life, men will not want to look at her very much. Again, not women's fault. This is just how it is. And the worse it gets, the more masculine they become, the uglier women become. The worse it's going to get in society, because men who are feminine, right, because they've been neglected in their childhood because their mothers were masculine and not nurturing and not loving and not kind, but punishing them and basically putting them in their place and being strict with them continuously, that's going to put men in survival mode from their childhood. So when they grow up and finally get out of the grasp of their mother and their parents, okay, very often, a lot of the time, it's just the mother these days. The boy will grow up to become an adult child and think like a child and be emotional like a child and not grow up to become the man that he was designed to be. He's not going to take on rejection. He's not going to take on responsibility, and he's not going to take on the provision and protection of women other than having sex with them and then leaving them behind. That's going to create the societal downfall for all of us. We're at the peak now of riches, where everything seems to be working and people are becoming richer and richer, but it's fake. It's debt. Everyone is indebted. Everyone's got credit cards. And this is going to fall like a house of cards. and this isn't the joke, even though I'm smiling, but I'm explaining this from so that you can understand, so that everyone can understand out there, that the whole critical point that we've got to get to is helping women to be provided for and protected by their man, their one man who's continuously there for them and wants them to be happy. When that happens, she's able now to tap into her feminine potential, which is women's growth mode and not survival mode anymore. When that happens, the kids that she has, and hopefully those kids will have more than one mother in Three Girls in Love, then those kids will continuously be in growth mode themselves. Boys allowed to be feminine in their first few years, girls being allowed to be feminine in their first few years, and then once puberty hits, girls are still allowed to be feminine for the long term. And boys now, because they have to be men and because they naturally want to attract feminine beauty, they have to become their opposites. They have to choose to become masculine. But if they've grown up being feminine and stopped from being allowed to do masculine activities, they want to do masculine activities hardcore, and they won't want to remain in their femininity. They'll want to become masculine, and if they are masculine, then we actually move towards truth. We move towards aligning ourselves with that which works. And that's when everything is going to work, and is going to work exponentially in a positive way, in a joyous way, in a happy way. Life was not designed to be hard. We as humans simply make it hard for ourselves by believing the things that we've believed for a very long time. By allowing the government to institute monogamy as the rule. We're allowing this cycle of war and riches and pestilence and squandering of those riches to poverty, which brings the family back into focus. And then we have peacetime, and then we become rich, and then from those riches we don't need each other anymore, do we? Oh, right. And then there's the squandering, and there's the wartime. And during the wartime, everything is shit. Okay? Everything is absolutely horrific. It's horrible. And then we enter into peacetime again, and the ones that were most masculine, the ones that had the best technology, the ones that actually fought for freedom and for their families the most, are those that always win. And that's going to bring peacetime, family back into focus, and we continually do the cycle. The way to get riches endlessly and continuously is by accepting Three Girls in Love responsible polygyny. Because that is what's going to bring us out of the cycle, because it makes it so that men continuously seek for masculinity. At least 1/3 of men. And actually, all of men seek for it, because all of them want women, but all of them can't have women before they've become trustworthy, before they've actually done what they were supposed to be doing for a long period of time, showing that they are trustworthy. There is no casual sexual relationships in Three Girls in Love polygamy. There is no, there's direction. There's peace. There's joy. There's happiness. There's kids. There's nurturing. Once you understand the system. We simply want women to be allowed to be women, to be feminine, to be themselves, to return back to who they were as in their youth.